today's webinar dedicated to Jamaica. We have the honor and pleasure to have with us Ms. Chevanese Barragan-de-Luis, Business Development Manager of Jamaica Tourist Board. Chevanese, thank you for your time, and you are always here with us, and with your enthusiastic presentation, we are filling with energy each time. And I'm sure that our partners, they are feeling the same. Some of them, they already met you in our different B2B events, and here is more to follow. But today we have this webinar, you have the screen, you have the microphone. Thank you.
Thank you, Sultan. And thank you everyone for taking the time out to want to learn about Destination Jamaica, an exciting and new destination for some of you. Some of you have already had the opportunity to experience the Jamaica warm breeze. But today I'm hoping to entice you some more so that you can understand and easily offer the destination. Okay, so welcome. Let's get into the mood. That's just a tease of the Jamaican vibe. You know, we are vibrant, we are fun, we are exciting. That is Jamaica for you. Now, our land, you need to know where we are. We are in the middle of the Caribbean. You can see us right there below Cuba. And as you can look up, the US is right on top of Jamaica. So we are in the US sphere, so to speak, but in the Caribbean waters. This is what we look like, our country. We are just about 2.8, a little over 2.8 million people. And you will see the concentration of the population is in Kingston. Now, Montego Bay is our resort area, but I will come to that shortly. How do we look like? We are out of many one people. Jamaicans look like me. Jamaicans look like you. Jamaicans look like Asians, like Europeans. And this is because it's our historical background. As you know, we were a British colony, and after the ending of the slave trade, where the Africans left the plantation, the British colony decided to look for new workers. They imported Indian workers. The Indians left the plantation. Then they turned to Chinese workers. The Chinese left the plantation. Then we had Syrians, Lebanese, you name it. So we're looking like so many different people. Hence our motto, out of many one people. Now, he's our most renowned ambassador, Bob Marley, but we have quite a few. As you know, athletics and track is our forte. We have Usain Bolt, we have Shelley and Fraser Price, we have Elaine Thompson, the fastest women and men in the world on the track or language. Jamaicans have a unique language. It's called Patois, but English is our national language. But if you come to Jamaica, once you enter, even the officials, they will be speaking English, but they'll break off into Patois. And one of the most common responses to the word yes in Jamaican language is yeah, man. So even myself, I find myself saying that often, which is typical of Jamaicans to break off into the Patois. And one of our most known exclamation is rotted, meaning what? Wow! It's an exclamation that Jamaicans use quite often. So you will hear us speaking our native language, and I must say it's native because English language is official. It's not native. The Jamaicans have their own language. Now, brand Jamaica. I think we try to explain what brand Jamaica is, what destination Jamaica is, and we came up with this idea to explain that the brand, its personality is as big as a country. Everything we do as a brand reflects our culture. We are colorful, we are loud, we are vibrant, we are rhythmic, we are magnetic, and we're self-confident. It is in our nature to show ourselves more than to be shown ourselves. And we are a destination that sets us apart from any other destination. It is true, there's no two Jamaica. Jamaica is the only place you will have that unique experience, that unique vibe. And so it is important to understand that and want to experience it. Now, when we're talking, when it's important to understand now, how do you get to this fabulous destination? How do you get there? From Romania, I think for the most part, we're using Condor Airlines. And in the wintertime, Condor flies from Frankfurt on a Wednesday and on a Saturday. Now, the good thing is that this flight is direct. It's direct from Frankfurt. And so if you were to get a connecting flight where if you book directly on Condor, more than likely the connecting flight would be Lufthansa coming into Frankfurt and then on to Montego Bay. And that, if you do it that way, it is for sure your bags will check all the way through from Bucharest to Montego Bay. But you can always choose to do two different connections, but the bigger leg, Frankfurt to Montego Bay, is direct. And we understand that summer will also be the same. We will have at least one direct flight from Frankfurt to Montego Bay in the summertime. So I think that is the best connection for now. However, we have Edelweiss leaving from Frankfurt, and they leave on a Thursday. All the other flights are one stop, but I think that is fine. And the stop is in the Dominican Republic with Edelweiss. Neos is also in the Dominican Republic leaving from Milan, and they have two possibilities from Verona and Milan. Of course, I know it's not so easy to go all the way to Belgium and the Netherlands, so I did not include them. We have possibilities out of those markets, but I think we're focusing easily from Frankfurt to Montego Bay. This is what Jamaica looks like. And we're looking at Montego Bay, which is at the top of the screen on to the west or on your left hand. This is the tourism capital of Jamaica. We have 6 resort areas: Montego Bay, Negril on the west end, the south coast to the bottom, Kingston moving to the east, Port Antonio on the far east, and Eturia on the north coast. So this is what they look like in terms of images, just to have an idea of the characteristic of the resort areas. We tend to use golfing in Montego Bay to emphasize that you can also have a golf retreat in Jamaica as well. We're looking at the waterfalls, which is characteristic of Eturia. We have many different waterfalls on island, but Eturia has quite a number of waterfalls. Port Antonio is the beautiful Frenchman's Cove, where we had the James Bond video being filmed. Many of you are not aware that James Bond was born in Jamaica. Ian Fleming, the author of the first 3 novels, wrote them while living in Jamaica. And his former home, Golden Eye, is now a beautiful boutique hotel. We're looking at Negril, where the image is against the sunset in the west end of the country. And it is the image from the Rick's Cafe, a fabulous, vibrant, moving restaurant every day, every evening. And that is the famous activity of Rick's Cafe, cliff jumping or cliff diving. Nope, I've never done it, have no intention of doing it, but it is fun for a lot of people. The south coast, where you have the welcome image against the mangroves, is characteristic of that side of the island, where it is more community tourism. We have our own Black River Safari, where we have crocodiles there. And in Kingston, which is the capital of the country, the heartbeat of the country, is our business and cultural center. Montego Bay. Let's look at Montego Bay. We say it is a complete resort. Complete because if you're looking at a one-stop shop, you can do everything in Montego Bay. As I had mentioned before, golfing, snorkeling, diving, the adventure parks, the cultural historical centers, whatever you think of, we can get it done in Montego Bay. Private jetting, you name it, villas, in terms of accommodation, nightlife, very good food, restaurants, you name it. It is the largest room stock on island because a lot of our all-inclusive hotels has one representation of the property in Montego Bay. We have also Doctor's Cave that you're looking at right there, that little jetty out into the water. We have the Rose Hall Great House. Now, what is famous about the Rose Hall Great House is that it is said to be haunted. Now, this was a plantation house, and the wife was from Haiti. Haiti is known for voodoo, and she brought voodoo to Jamaica, and we learned that she practiced it while she was living there. And because she was so evil, we understand that her spirit is still walking all over the place, even though they performed some form of ritual when she was buried so that her spirit is trapped. But I understand she's there. Now we offer it on the night so that you have a chance of seeing her, but I'm not going there with you in the night because I don't want to see her. But in the daytime, it's a beautiful plantation. You have a look at some of the setting in the days of the slavery setting. You can imagine that vast plantation, which is now part of the Montego Bay, the Rose Hall Golf Course. So it is a spectacle. It's something to experience as well. Rafting. Rafting came out of our culture. We used to tie the bamboos. We have a lot of bamboos on island. We used to tie the bamboos together and ship the products from up into the mountains or the rivers down to the coast where they can put them on the ships to England. So banana, sugar, rum, everything that we made, that is how they were sent down the river to the boats. And you know that song by Harry Belafonte. Um, I won't sing, but he's making reference to us shipping those bamboos, Taleme banana, where they would count all the number of packages on the rafting. Now, for tourism, we just simply took the concept and put seats on it, and now you can sip a cocktail while rafting on some of the same rivers that was used for economy back then. Glistening water, Jamaica is one of 5 countries in the world that has glistening water. And this is where fresh water meets the sea, and the algae that grows there, that naturally grows there, glistens at night. So when you touch the water, you disturb the algae and they glow. So it's a natural glowing area that you can also swim and have the algae on your body. It's really nice, a very nice experience. And of course, Reggae Sumfest. We have this every year in July, a huge area where we entertain our patrons that wants to have a good time listening to some real good reggae music. Now, Negril, as I mentioned, is on the far west end. You will see the map there indicating it's right on the west end of the western end of the island. We say it's a capital of casual. Casual because, as I had mentioned, it has the beautiful sunset. The sun rises in the east in Port Antonio and it sets in the west in Negril. And with that, we have quite a number of people who want to get to know one another, going to Negril on our 7 Miles Beach to relax, suntan, and take care of themselves and their partners. So we have a lot of weddings, we have a lot of couples, we have honeymooners going to Negril because it is not so loud and exciting like Montego Bay and Otres, even though there are areas in both the other resort areas where you can have quiet, but Negril's nature or characteristics is quiet. And you tend to attract that kind of visitors on the West End. But we come alive in the evening at the Ritz Cafe because, as I mentioned, this is where the entertainment takes place. Aside and apart from the adventure parks that are also in Negril, water parks and TV, the where you can do the what you call TV cart and all of that adventure. So that you can have that in Negril as well. But the most famous one is the Rick's Cafe, where our visitors are totally entertained by the cliff jumping there, and of course the rhythmic of our dancers entertaining all the patrons that visit in the evening. So Ritz Cafe comes alive every day against the sunset, and it's a resort area that really is relaxing. On our 7 Miles Beach, you can see there in the image below. What is also important is it was prior to the early 90s, we did not have high-rise building in Negril. We wanted to keep it a boutique resort areas, but with the demand, we had to go all-inclusive. So there are a few all-inclusive resorts on the coast in Negril, which blends in well with the previous policy of not going too high. So it doesn't disturb the characteristic on that side of the island as well. Now, the south coast, as you can see, the Wyeth Falls, Jamaica has over 150 rivers on the island. And as I said, with rivers, we have quite a number of waterfalls, cascading waterfalls. And in the south coast, we're looking at Wyeth Falls. You can climb it, has different levels. You can swim in it. You can enjoy it. You can take your Instagram images and have fun there. The Black River Safari, as I had mentioned, you see an image there of the what did I say? Crocodile, the alligator in the water there. You know, there is a very old alligator. I don't remember her name, but when you're doing the Black River Safari, they actually look out for her and they call her out, and she comes sometimes if you're fortunate to see her. She knows her name. And that's interesting. We have the Pelican Bar out into the sea. You'd have to take a boat to go out into the sea to experience the Pelican Bar. It's just this restaurant that turns up out of nowhere in the sea, in the ocean. Lover's Leap, of course, it's a little off Wyeth Falls, a beautiful view, and of one of the big attractions, it's our Appleton Rum Estate. Rum is a very well-known export of Jamaica, and doing the Appleton Rum Tour will be really satisfying. I don't know how much alcohol you can hold, but it's a wide variety of rum tasting on this tour. So that's the South Coast for you. We don't have a buildup of all-inclusive hotels here. It's more boutique accommodation, rustic accommodation, more natural and very, as I said, community style. We have a lot of programs that some of our visitors get involved with in planting trees, some of them get into the agricultural aspect of it. And so it is a community focus in that regard. Kingston, the heartbeat of Jamaica, the capital of our country. It is very, you're looking at the picture on the far right, gives an idea of the market in Kingston, very busy. It's many streets in, we say downtown Kingston that has this activity. And we have the mural on the right. That is one whole area of downtown where it really would be lovely to see. It is an expression of many of our artists where they have a whole section dedicated to art expression. So there's dance, there's the Bob Marley Wailers band members painted there. Standout Jamaicans are painted. Historical events that took place are expressed in painting in this area. So we call it the downtown art walk. It's really a, a pleasure to just take the time and walk through and look through our cultural experiences through many different artists' expression. The Bob Marley Museum is in Kingston, and the Bob Marley Museum is not a museum, a static museum, as you know. It's Bob Marley's house. So this is where he lived, and in turning it into a museum, they did not change a lot of things. So his bed is there, his kitchen is there, he blended a lot and his blender is still there, even his bed slippers are there. Some of the gifts on his world travel from heads of state, they're also on display in his house. And unfortunately, you can also see the bullet holes in his house where he was attacked. Yes, they tried to assassinate Bob because he was standing in the way of many things, and he stand for peace and unity and togetherness. And some people did not want that because benefiting from division and breakup was better for them. And so they tried to assassinate him. You're looking at Devon House, that wonderful yellow and white house. It was also a plantation house. It's now, it hosts many different things, a fabulous restaurant and or Jamaican ice cream, the Devon House ice cream, which has unique flavors that I know you have never tasted. You have never tasted a guava ice cream, I'm sure. And a rum and raisin with grape nuts inside there. You have never tasted that. So there are some flavors that are very unique at the Devon House ice cream. You can get to the Blue and John Crow Mountains, a UNESCO site from Kingston, and it's a World Heritage Cultural Site. Now, if you had watched the movie Pirates of the Caribbean, Port Royal is a critical part of that because right there in Port Royal is where the buccaneers would store the loot from what they plundered from the British and the Spanish ships. So coming into the Caribbean waters, many of the British ships or the Spanish ships at the time, depending on the period in time, they were aware of the Jamaican buccaneers, and many of them were very successful. Port Royal back then was a very rich state, so to speak, in Jamaica. So Pirates of the Caribbean captured quite a number of the activities that took place with the buccaneers in this area. And this is a look at the Blue Mountains, which is where our famous Blue Mountain coffee is grown. Our Blue Mountain coffee is not exported, and so it is one of the most expensive coffee in the world. You really would have to come to Jamaica to get a taste of this gem. And almost 90% of our coffee is shipped to Japan. Japan buys at the most premium price our coffee. And so what is left, you would have to have it in Jamaica. Port Antonio. naturally, Port Antonio. It is eco-friendly, nature lovers. Look at that beautiful Frenchman's Cove water right between two encarved areas. The water is a little cool, but lovely. You can also surf in Port Antonio, depending on the time of the year. The waves, it gets a little rough, but rough where you cannot say it's a surfing area, but surfing is possible at some times of the year. Um, it is the Blue Lagoon image at the bottom. I don't know if Blue Lagoon, the movie wasn't filmed in Jamaica, but Cocktails by Tom Cruise was filmed in Jamaica, and Where Stella Got Her Groove On was filmed in this area, separate and apart, as I had mentioned about James Bond. Swimming in the Blue Lagoon is fabulous. It's very deep, but it's really nice, especially at nights against the lights of the villas that are in around this area. Reach Falls is also in Port Antonio. As I mentioned, we have quite a number of waterfalls in Jamaica. But what you didn't know is that we also have the Marlin tournament that takes place. It has already passed in October in Jamaica. So we have the Marlin tournament because we also have the Yachting Marina in Port Antonio. Port Antonio actually was the birthplace of Jamaica's tourism. This is the area where we could entertain boats of a particular size in the early 50s or so from Jamaica. So this area was the main port area in Jamaica. And so our tourism was born in this part of the island. But we moved around to Ocherias, my birth town, and where we could accommodate a larger amount of visitors because the port is much larger, and so our tourism began to grow with this focus, moving from Port Antonio to Ocherias. It is the centerpiece of our attraction area. We have so many different attractions in Ocherias, and you're looking at the famous Duns River Falls. I wouldn't say it is the largest, but it is the most known, because I think it is more friendlier to climb. And so a lot of people use the opportunity to experience one of our waterfalls, and Duns River Falls is a chosen one. You can see from one of the activities that you can overlook the port of Ocherias, and you're looking at some of the all-inclusive hotels right at the tip, on the other side of the resort area. This whole park is called Mystic Mountain. And in Mystic Mountain, you have the opportunity to see our national bird, the hummingbird. There are many different species of the hummingbird, but Jamaica has the small ones that they are just so beautiful. And if you know anything about hummingbirds, they're the only bird, I think, that flies in stealth motion while they're eating. Only the wings, only the head is moving while they eat. Everything else is in stealth motion. It is really a spectacle. It's something to see. And you can get to see them while in the Mystic Mountains. We also have caves, the Green Grotto Caves. The caves were used back then for escape path, and it gives an idea where the water was at that time. So the Green Grotto Cave is really an experience in terms of going underground, going through the different holes to see how people escape. Jamaica is full of limestone, and with that we have stalactite and stalagmite. So that is also a beauty to experience in our caves. Um, the plantation tours, as I mentioned, it's our history. We have many different plantations around, which was characterized by the British colonization of the island. And we have music in our bones. Rebel Salute takes place in Ocherias every year, whereas in Montego Bay, we have Reggae Sumfest, and then we have other reggae parties or events in other parts of the island, but these are the two standout, Rebel Salute and Reggae Sumfest. What is important too is to have an understanding how to get from one resort area to the next. Jamaica is not very big, but not very small. And because of our geographic diversity, we have quite a number of mountains. It's not very easy to think that you can do the entire island in a short stay. No, but it is possible to do day trips from one resort area to the next. For instance, if you're staying in Montego Bay, you can get to Otrias in just under 2 hours, or maybe depending on the time of day, we would say 2 hours, budgeted for 2 hours. And then it is from Otrias to Kingston. Early in the morning, it's a 45 minutes drive. Depending later on in the day with traffic, you can count one hour. So going from Montego Bay to Kingston, if you wanted to have a chance to visit the Bob Marley Museum, quite feasible. And then you can do a day trip around Kingston and return to Montego Bay. It is the same if you want to go to Otrias, and it is the same if Otrias was your focal point where you are accommodated in Otrias. You can do a day trip in Montego Bay. You can do a day trip to Negril, not very far. From Otrias to Negril, calculate 2.5 hours, and then you can experience all that you want there and return to Otrias. So it's not very far, but it is recommended to only do one resort area in the daytime. So have a look at the map and you can understand moving from Montego Bay to Otrias to Port Antonio to Kingston, the Treasure Beach in the south coast, and Negril is quite feasible with day trips from one resort area to the next. Now, accommodation in Jamaica, we have a wide variety of accommodation. 30,000 rooms was then because the Princess Hotel is open, and that has given us, together with the new Rio Hotel, we have moved today alone, this year alone, perhaps about 1,500 new rooms, and we expect more early next year. So we have all variety. The overwater bungalows from Sandals, that's the image you're looking at. We have eco tourism accommodation in Port Antonio, and of course, villas, bed and breakfast, apartments, high-end luxury accommodation, boutique hotels, and all-inclusive resorts. Culinary. We know, you have to eat. And apart from the tropical fruits, the wide variety of tropical fruits, Jamaica has its own stamp on how you prepare meat. We call it jerk. And that's the image you're seeing at the bottom right. It's a jerk chicken leg. Jerking is a dark meat. It derived from, you see, our tourism. We have gotten creative from our history and from the experience and what happened. And when the Africans left the plantation, they were often pursued by the British soldiers. And even though they ran into the hills, once they start cooking, the smoke will alert the soldiers as to where they are. So they came up with an idea to dig a hole into the ground, marinate the meat with all the spices on islands, or chili, or pepper, paprika, you name it. And they would put the spice wood in the ground with a fire underneath it and cover the meat. In covering it, you get this dark looking meat. And that is now called jerk. What we have done, we have marinated the spices and bottled it so you can have a taste of jerk by buying the spice in the bottle. But in cooking the meat to get this dark flavor, you have to cook it enclosed with open fire so that the smoke contributes to this dark flavor. Really, really, really nice. So we have jerk chicken, jerk pork, jerk fish, steamed fish, escovitch fish, all these different flavors. Makes me even wanting to go home. So have a look at some of the many different variety of culinary offerings. We have escovitch fish in the far left, papaya, of course, the coffee beans in the middle. We have our own apple called the Eturia apple. It looks like a pear, like a red pear, the shape of a red pear, but it's an apple. Of course, our Appleton rum. Ackee and saltfish are national dish, which is codfish, and ackee grows on the tree. Breadfruit grows on the tree as well. We eat a lot from the ground. We eat a lot from our trees. And jerk chicken on the far right. Music. Every note in Jamaica will make your steps spring a little from the rhythm of our waves. Nah? We have pulsating sound of reggae music. Even if you don't feel like dancing, when you come to Jamaica, you can't help it. You may not want to dance, but you just simply cannot avoid that beat, that rhythm. You will be forced, you will be tempted to shake a leg or two once in Jamaica. We have many different types of, many different genre of our music. We have a lot of people just call it reggae, but reggae is a derivative from previous sounds on the island. We have ska and mento and rocksteady. These were the sounds before reggae was born, but reggae is the big boy of Jamaican music, and then the younger people have derived dancehall from reggae. So we have so many different sounds that play on the island, but once you hear the beat, everyone just says it's reggae. That's fine, we take it. So I just mentioned to you 4 key elements of a nation, of a cultural background. I mentioned our people, many different characteristics, many different faces. I mentioned our language. We have our own patois. We have our own sound, our own music. No? And we have our own way of cooking, 4 essential elements. And that gives you the Jamaica vibe experience nowhere else authentically in Jamaica. Here is a video of Rebel Salute that takes place every year in Eturia. Jamaica for you in a nutshell. Thank you. So I leave it. I open the floor to any questions. I hope you enjoyed it. So I'm open for your questions.
This was amazing.
Thank you so much.
I could add to this that you can experience this only in Jamaica. You can't have it anywhere else.
Nowhere else. And this is what I mean when I said Jamaica is a destination for those who want to experience something different. We are in the tourism industry. We have traveled the world. We know Europe and we know Asia. We know North America. But we also know that when you come to Jamaica, you cannot experience this vibe anywhere else. So Jamaica is a destination where people are interested in experiencing something unique, something different, something authentic. And what is also a standout for Jamaica is that we are a people that love to smile, we're loud, we love to have fun.
I encourage
So,
everyone to put your questions now because Shivani is our best person to answer to all those. I loved actually that map with the distances between
yes,
different cities,
yes,
and I think this could help each of us. And you can explain easier to tourists which area to choose to have a
yes.
base, let's say, and from that you can visit. And in our offers, you will see mostly combinations with the north and northwest side, Montego Bay, Negril, maybe Ocho Rios, but also the other part is very interesting with Port Antonio and the south side and of course the capital.
Yes, yes, it is. It is important for you to understand that you don't have to feel as if you're missing out if you stay in one resort area. You can experience others at your choice. Very easy. I would say 7 nights is the minimum to have a real good taste of the island. 7 nights. We know we have accommodated shorter nights with the mice, my incentive markets because people have to go back to work. But on a leisure holiday, I think 7 days is a really good start.
In our hotel portfolio, we have mostly 4 and 5 stars, 5-star hotels. This comes with all-inclusive regime. But I would ask about your opinion if for a lower budgeted tourist, if they choose let's bed and breakfast or half board, they can I suppose they can easily find nice solutions for their meals out of the hotel.
Sure. Traditionally, Negril was known as the backpackers' easygoing area because one part of the strip was just a lot of restaurants. And when we say restaurants, we're not talking about five-star restaurants. We're talking about Jamaican style food entities where you can go in. So we say restaurant in that regard. But we have quite a number of small shops around where you can get your jerk chicken just the same, and so bed and breakfast is very easy. And people on a budget will just simply look which resort area they would want to stay in and just go. You can have breakfast, you can do anything. All of it is possible. Jamaica is open to every pocket. You don't have to stay all inclusive, but I know all inclusive is an attraction basically for very long haul travel. So you want to be able to just go one place and you have everything. But it is very nice to go out on the street and experience the culture. Experience walking into a typical patty. Have patty. Patty is equivalent in Germany to their currywurst. So you can go outside and walk and get a patty and cocoa bread or bun and cheese or something like that, with some lemonade, the typical way how Jamaicans will eat, or you have a small wagon shop that is selling rice and peas and chicken at a very low cost. So you can really do Jamaica backpacking style as well and on a very low budget. No problem.
What about safety?
Jamaica is fair. You know that we have less than 1% of crime against tourism. Jamaica, you see where we're located? We're right in the middle of that the transshipment point of those wonderful material to the US. So you find that people who are engaged or involved in this kind of underground economy gets into trouble. And that is really what our crime is all about. The crime is really about the underground economy. Tourists are not the focus of that economy. And so we are very thankful in our tourism project and portfolio. We can boast a high repeat visitor rate, and we can boast less than, it's not nowhere near 1% of our visitors for crime against visitors in Jamaica. We have always had tourism before the sector became inducted actually as a sector in our economy. We have always had tourism from the 50s. Jamaica gained independence in 1962. Tourism was a part of our blood long before that. And to this day, from then till now, we still have not gotten or reached anywhere of a figure to say we have tourism, crime against tourism.
Thank you. Any questions from our colleagues? You can open your microphone to ask, or you can write it in the chat box. In the meantime, I have another question. I am sure that it's interesting for all of us about the entry conditions to Jamaica.
Right. The Ministry of Defense, together with the Ministry of Tourism, have this visa policy which was in place from the 70s. They have waived visa entry, but they have kept the medical requirement that, as I had mentioned, that was in place from before. That was long ago. That was from a time when Jamaica, and still is, unfortunately, Jamaica is not, or we do not have the capacity to take care of a polio outbreak, a measles outbreak. We really try to not have such an outbreak on the island because our resources are very limited to take care of such an outbreak. So the ministry together, both ministries, the Defense Ministry and the Tourism Ministry, are a little reluctant to remove the health requirement. Now, they have argued, we have argued, the Tourism Ministry has argued that today it is mundane. And so we are pushing to have the medical requirement removed, even though there is no visa requirement. What happens is, in other words, what they're saying, it is a fee, a penalty, so to speak, if you're not able to show fulfillment of this medical requirement. Now, I have had my vaccination as a child, and there's no way I'm going to find my immunization from as a child to show that I was vaccinated against polio. So what it boils down to is a situation where people just cannot get that immunization and end up having to face this fee of $100. Now, we are really trying to soften this blow. We are working together with Eturia to soften this package, this requirement when traveling to Jamaica. At the same time, as the Ministry of Tourism, we remain a pain in the Ministry of Defense and Foreign Affairs to remove the medical requirement. Just yesterday, I have an indication that the policy is under review for the removal of the medical requirements. So I'm really hoping 2025 will be the year that we don't have this requirement attached to the visa-free entry. So to understand, there's no visa requirement for Romanians to travel to Jamaica, but there is a medical requirement that you must meet. And then if you don't meet this medical requirement, you end up having to pay a penalty of $100. So we are really, really working with this. But book your tickets with Eturia. It will be easier on the entry side. And I hope to report to the market early next year better news with respect to the removal of this requirement.
Very clear for me. I hope it is for everyone. But if you have any questions, you can contact anytime our team, our sales team, and we have the full information. So there is no real fear or limitation for Romanians not to travel to Jamaica.
Oh, absolutely not.
So
Come
we are
on
promoting
down.
it.
Come on down. Just book a ticket with Eturia to ease your entry requirements and come on down. Another thing, the time of year. Now, I had mentioned in terms of airlift that Condor flies non-stop in the winter time, in particular, starting this winter. We have 2 rotations per week. Now, the time of year I would suggest would also be in the winter season. Winter starts from the IATA winter is November to March, but Jamaica is right under the nose of the Americans, so we have to pay attention to the high season. End of October up until the week before Thanksgiving, I think, is a window of opportunity for European visitors. The weather is good, the Americans are not there, and so the prices are better. The prices come down at this time of the year, the hotels are not so full. And there's also another window which I often use for training, which I will do again this year, is the first week in December, because that is a soft window as well, just before the Christmas holiday starts on the 15th of December. So that's a soft window as well if you want to benefit from the lower prices. We have quite a number of winners of Jamaican trips to Jamaica that are going to Jamaica in this window, this 1 week window as well, because the hotels can accommodate you. The Americans are not there. So typically for Jamaica, the holidays where the Americans are not there is good for you. So Christmas will be very high season. Easter will be very high season. The summer holidays, which is perhaps you are familiar with that weather, that temperature, but it's high season for Jamaica. Why? Because we have events too as well that attracts large visitors from the north. We have the reggae marathon. Now, if you're talking about Jamaica, we do everything Jamaica reggae style. So we don't just have marathon, but we have reggae marathon. Reggae marathon taking place in December. We have the Jazz and Blues Festival taking place in January. We have Carnival, but not just Carnival, Reggae Carnival in April. We have the reggae shows, Reggae Some Fest in the summer, the culinary festivals in October, and literature festivals also in October, the Marlin tournament in late October, November. So these are really fixed events in the calendar, along with many other activities that the Jamaica Tourist Board supports. So if you visit jamaica.com, our website, you can also see the activities per month that the Jamaica Tourist Board endorses. And big on it, which I did yesterday, check the calendar of events on our website. The Reggae Marathon is happily placed there. So the best time for you in terms of price, weather, and to have the attractions and hotels and everything to yourselves is this 3 to 4 week window between the end of October and before Thanksgiving in November. Also, this 1.5 week before the Christmas holidays. And then, of course, February, don't go around Valentine's. It's high season as well. But February is really nice. The end of January is really nice as well in terms of price. Weather, don't have to worry. We are tropical islands, so we have sun and the temperatures are the same all around. We don't have monsoon rain, but we tend to have a little bit more rain in November. But when we say rain, it rains in the morning and it goes away before you can begin your activity. But if you, with climate change too, Jamaica, or geographically speaking, we are in the hurricane belt, which is from June to October. And so we tend to have our cyclones in this period. We have not had a direct hit of a cyclone for a very long time, and we're very happy. What we have had is experiencing just the side of the island having some rain or some strong winds, but the Caribbean in general have the hurricane season from that period. And you can be in the hurricane, the eye pass, and the sun is out as if nothing happened. So that is the tropics for you. Any other question?
Actually, I remember that last year we had a very nice corporate incentive group in November. and they returned very happy, as I know. And we have today one person from that agency who organized it, if they want to ask something maybe.
Yes.
If not, or no other questions, it means that you presented very good, and all the informations were there in the place.
Yes, if I may, in terms of the agent that is currently online that came to Jamaica last year, I know there was a misunderstanding between the immigration authority. They had the visa waiver and had the entry dates incorrectly. So that created a little bit of humbug for entry. But outside of that, we, the tourist board, decided to ease that discomfort, and I know it was accepted, it was taken very well, and they had a very good time. So the entry humbug was just a blip, but I know the holiday in general was very, very good. We hardly ever, to be honest with you, and not to blow my horns, we hardly ever had any bad experiences in terms of a leisure holiday, simply because there's just so much to do. Whether you decide to leave the properties, the accommodation, or not, because even on the on the property, they have a wide range of activities every day, and the weather accommodates all kind of things: cycling in the pools, dancing on the pool front, exercising out on the sand, of course, spas everywhere, but they have also night entertainment. Some hotels have disco on property, some hotels have bowling on property. So it just depends, you can really be thoroughly entertained on and off property.
Your support at that time was much appreciated, and the group was happy in the end. Thank you again for this, and thank you as well for today's lovely presentation. You are always filling us with energy. Your energy is contagious.
I can open a dance class. Anybody wants to sign up?
We need to move.
I will sign up. I got the classes. I must admit, I got the classes. And I would love to add something else, because I've been to Jamaica twice and I deeply love the destination, and I would go twice per year to Jamaica. It will be our pleasure to have Chevanese soon with us in Bucharest, and you'll find out more. And thank you very much. Jamaica is really nice. You must trust us. We have experience with this destination, and you must visit it. Whether you come in couple, you send your clients in couple, in corporate groups, it's truly a pleasure to be there. Adventure, food, reggae, dancing, nice beaches. Thank you, Chevanese.
Thank you, Raluca. Thank you, Zoltan. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And I hope to see you face-to-face in Bucharest in January. I hope to even see you in Jamaica soonest.
Thank you
very much.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.